You can try but never stop me. This is what I'm made of. I will never ever let go. This is what I'm made of.
On this episode, we're talking about Park Ridge, and today I have Mayor of Park Ridge, Marty Maloney, and I have owner of Harp and Fiddle, Declan Stapleton, who is the Harp and Fiddle won the award of being the Business of the Year in 2018 in Park Ridge. So, Marty, I would like to ask you first. Let's talk about the city. Where a lot of people maybe don't know about where it's located, what's the population, where it's. Tell us a little bit about the city.
So Park Ridge is the population is about roughly 37,000, give or take, and it's situated on. It borders the northwest side of the city of Chicago, and so we're kind of tucked between the northwest side of the city and the airport and Niles and Des Plaines, but we're right there in one of the older northwest suburbs.
Mm-hmm. And why would somebody want to go to Park Ridge specifically, as opposed to other suburbs? What's different?
I think one of the key differentiators about Park Ridge, and I kind of touched on it a little bit, is our location. We are, again, a suburb that borders the city of Chicago. We're on the UP Northwest train line. There's the blue line that comes out to Cumberland, all the way out to O'Hare. If you travel for work, and you do utilize O'Hare, it's kind of a blessing and a curse. We're very close to the airport, so you can be at your terminal fairly quickly. And again, if you do work downtown, we have multiple ways to get downtown without driving, without having to deal with parking and traffic and that kind of thing. So I do think one of the key differentiators of Park Ridge versus some of the other suburbs is our location.
And also school district,
Certainly that, again, if you talk to folks that are moving to Park Ridge new, more often than not, if they have children or they're soon to have children, one of the things that they look for is our school districts who do and have historically done a wonderful job of educating the kids in town. And we have, our park district is also award winning, and we have a number of different facilities all over town. There's usually a park almost within walking distance. No matter where you live, you can walk to a park here in town.
Okay, so let's say if somebody's moving into the city, not knowing anybody, they decided to buy a house here, and what are a couple of things, or where should they go to get involved with community events, get to know people a little more? Yeah,
and that's one of the great things, and as we sit here today, it's a little bit colder outside, but once the weather turns and starts getting nicer, pretty much there are festivals and things to do on the weekend, pretty much from Memorial Day all the way till November. We have our really the first one of the year is our craft beer festival, which actually the folks here at Harp and Fiddle and Beer on the Wall started just a couple of years ago, and that takes place on Main Street on the Sunday after or the Sunday before Memorial Day. And then we also have a farmers market that will run from Memorial Day all the way through the summer. So again, I would encourage people to get out and take advantage of the events that are out there. We also have a number of different service organizations or community groups. We have Park Ridge Newcomers that's been around for a long time, Park Ridge Community Women. We have the Kiwanis organizations, Park Ridge Lions. Those are ways people can get involved. And certainly, if you have children, whether I know you're going to meet people through school, through our park district programs, through our youth sports here in town. Those are ways that I can do it. And again, at a very basic level, speaking from a city perspective, we have a number of different boards and commissions where people that can volunteer if they're willing to serve and want to serve, and that's a great way to get to know people as well.
Yeah. And you were born and raised in Park Ridge, right?
I was.
Yeah. Is there any places where when you were growing up, any places that you like to go that are still?
That's not an easy question to answer because we've had so much positive change really in the last few years, and again, places like the Harp and Fiddle, Beer on the Wall, Holtz have all been really the instigators of that change. So there are a lot of new businesses, but probably the one that comes to mind that is still here and has really been here all through the years is the Pickwick Theater, and that's kind of in the heart of our Uptown area and has been for many years. And I think when I was growing up, we used to refer to Park Ridge as Action Ridge because kind of bemoaning the lack of action here in town. And I know I refer to Action Ridge now, and my kids really don't. That's not the term they use. And I like to think because there actually is a fair amount of things. There are a fair amount of things to do here in town. But again, to answer your question directly, I think the Pickwick Theater is really one of the key ties that has been here, over the last 20, 30, 40 years. And it's really, kind of that postcard of Park
yeah.
Ridge. When a lot of people think of
Yeah,
Park Ridge,
it is,
that's kind of that postcard image
Yeah.
is the Pickwick Theater.
Any businesses that you would like to see coming in more into the city?
One of the things, and again, I mentioned it, we've seen kind of a little bit of a boom in businesses that are coming to town, and certainly we have some new retail places like Uncle Dan's on Prospect, right across from the library, which is a great place to go. But where we've really seen it is in places like the Harp and Fiddle, and some of our different restaurants. We have Shaku down Prospect. We have other places coming in. Main Street here. We've really seen an influx of businesses and activity, and we're going to continue to see it all the way down, from Toohey all the way down to Prospect. So to me, I'd like to see more businesses like that, and I view my role as mayor as kind of cheerleader in chief for Park Ridge. So I want everybody to come to Park Ridge. If you have a business that's coming into town and you'd like to invest your time, sweat, and money into Park Ridge, I want to make sure the city is getting out of your way as much as we can. Certainly we have rules and regulations to follow, but again, try and make that as easy for businesses to open as possible. And we've seen that, and I mentioned some of the ones here in the heart of Uptown, but even if you go down all the way to the very south end of town, this spring we're going to be having a new bakery open on Higgins, and it's a French pastry chef, and she specializes in macaroons. And she, she's actually, she's famous for them, actually. I didn't realize this till she came before City Council. But again, so we're seeing things like that. And again, we talk a lot of the focus tends to be here in Uptown for Park Ridge, but really from border to border, we're seeing it. Again, that's at the very southern end of town. We're going to have, there's a Starbucks coming into town, also along Higgins there. So there's a lot of good things happening in town. And really, for me, it's more about just kind of making it as straightforward as possible for new businesses to open in Park Ridge, and just kind of getting out of the way.
What was the main reason you decided to go to become a mayor? What did you?
Yeah, so at the time I became mayor, I had been an alderman for 4 years and was actually running for a second term as alderman. And our mayor, Mayor Schmidt, before me, passed away. So the way Illinois state law is written, we had to select his replacement to serve the remainder of his term, which was just under 2 years from some of the existing aldermen. And it came actually, I tell the story that it came down between a couple of aldermen. And there's a good friend of mine who on the council, Alderman Dan Knight, who's has since passed away. But he and I kind of sat down and had a very good talk about, we were both good friends of Dave. And I joke that it was rock, paper, scissors about who would support who, but it wasn't quite that. But again, Dan knew that if he wanted to be mayor, I would absolutely support him, and he conveyed the same message to me. So that's how I transitioned to mayor, and really it was to continue a lot of the positive progress that Mayor Schmidt had put in place. Everybody on our staff is really working to make Park Ridge a better place.
What are some of the things you've been working on recently?
We've had a couple of things, and there's kind of a lot of things happening in the city, which is great to talk about. But some of the things we've had bike task force recently concluded a couple of years worth of work, and they were kind of tackling biking and some pedestrian safety issues here in town, how to make it easier and safer for people to get around town on bikes or walking. And that was successful. We're in the process now of starting up a sustainability task force, so we can look at ways in which the city can run our operations in a more green and sustainable manner, as well as I've worked with talked with some of the other people on like the school boards here in town and the park district boards to kind of do some intergovernmental cooperation to incorporate some best practices in environmental sustainability, because I think that's, I'm hearing from a lot of people that are moving into town these are things that are important to them, so we're trying to be responsive to that.
Mm-hmm. You moved to Park Ridge. When was it?
Yeah, I moved. I was born in Dublin, Ireland. I moved to Park Ridge 1997.
1997. Okay.
97.
And then how did it change? Can you
Between then and now?
Between then and now.
No, it's quite a radical change, really. I mean, as Marty said, the term Action Ridge, which was far from what it was, was floating around those days. It was basically lights out at 9 o'clock at night. So I remember when we first moved in here, we unpacked all of our stuff. We were about a week into it, and we're like, well, time to go out and get some dinner and go and check out the town, see what's going on at nighttime. and we came uptown here, and like I say, all the lights were out. There was nowhere open, and there was a bit of a shocker to the system to be 1 week into living in Park Ridge and realizing this. So we really hadn't done enough homework, I think. But it's gone from that to today. I mean, today it's very vibrant. And speaking of Dave Schmidt, the former mayor, it's about 8 or 9 years ago, a group of us went before City Council to try and amend some of the restrictions and regulations that we figured were in the way of progress. And we were successful in doing that. Now then it took a while before we actually got around to construction and so forth. But we laid the foundation for where we are today. I mean, if you walk around Uptown today, whether it's daytime or nighttime, it's very vibrant. People are going out, people are staying local, people are dining local. There's Harp and Fiddle, there's Shaku, there's Holt's, there's High Karamba, there's a new restaurant coming into the Pickwick, there's a new one opening up next door to me here on Main Street, Pennyville Station, and so forth. So it's really, there's been a rejuvenation of Uptown and Park Ridge in general.
So Harp and Fiddle, when did you open it up, and tell us a little bit about the restaurant?
Feels like 10 years ago, but it's actually 2.5 years ago. So we opened up on Memorial Weekend, so we've been here for 3 summers. We had this idea in our head because I've been living here now for 20 plus years. You know, there was nowhere really to gather in Park Ridge. There's nowhere to go out, nowhere where you could meet your friends locally. You had to go over the border to Chicago, you had to go downtown or wherever. So we wanted to create a place that was had a great vibe to it, that was located centrally in the community, a gathering place for people where you could go and you could have a good time. We do live music here, we do great food here. We've got a huge range of beers. We have 24 beers on tap, great range of bourbons, wines, the whole lot. So we wanted to create that experience for people, that they would come multiple times. We're very reasonably priced because I don't want people to feel like they've lost a limb when they come in here. I want them to come here, a couple of times a week. I want them to come here for special occasions. Maybe you don't come to your wedding anniversary, but any other special occasion, birthdays, and etc. You'll come here, and it's been great.
Definitely did a good job in 2.5 years. You're at a Business of the Year, 2018. Were you the first restaurant that was serving alcohol here in Park Ridge?
We're one of the first. I think High Karamba has been around for a long time. They were doing it, but we were one of the first that availed of the new liquor ordinances, which removed a lot of restrictions on live music, entertainment. On you had to have a complete meal was the phrase in the ordinance in order to have a drink. Back in the day when you went to Bailey's over here on Toohey, and Cumberland, you had to have a reservation in order to be served a drink before your meal, reservation for dinner. So we were one of the first, us and Holt's across the street there. Were really the first two that took advantage of the new opportunities. One of the great things about Park Ridge in the summer is festivals. For years, I think 15 or 20 years, we've had the Taste of Park Ridge. But in the last couple of years, we've developed a number of other festivals, and it just provides a great vibrancy again to the Uptown. It kicks off, as Marty said, in Memorial Weekend with the Main Street Craft Beer Festival, which Harp and Fiddle and Beer on the Wall, which is the store next door, we do that together. And then I think following that, we have Taste of Park Ridge comes next. I think the Vine Street Barbecue Festival comes next.
We get in a fall with Oktoberfest.
We got an Oktoberfest that we do with the Park District over in Hodges Park.
And then throughout the summer, we have the farmers market. We'll go every Saturday morning, and then also during the summer, pretty much in that same time frame, Memorial Day to through maybe August. Every Friday night we have free concerts in the park in front of City Hall down the street here, where people can come and set up kind of like a little mini Ravinia and sit and enjoy the music. And again, the proximity of places like Harp and Fiddle are great because you can go before or after the concert.
So for new people that are moving in, there's a lot of things they can do to get to know.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
The key is to get, once the weather gets warm, just get out every weekend because there's never a shortage of things to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And those Friday nights in the park, they're just fantastic again for bringing people uptown. In the Harp and Fiddle, You know, winter is fantastic, but you know what we really love is the summer. We got 100 seats outside in the outdoor patio, which is covered in snow at the moment. But in the summer, we landscape it. Lurvies, which is a local landscaping company, they come around every year and they help us landscape the place, and it really provides a great setting for those long summer evenings, sipping a glass of wine.
I can attest. It's a great environment to sit out and enjoy. As we all know, we don't get enough nice weather here in Chicago, in the Chicago area. So it's nice to get out and enjoy when we do have it.
Take advantage of it.
Grab it when it's going. So, yeah.